The Warriors played the Grizzlies for the second time in, I believe, 2 weeks. And it was the same results in this game with the Grizzlies blowing them out. The Grizzlies won this game by double digits. They won it by 14 points, but at other points of the game, they were up by 20 or more, I believe. So the Grizzlies have now beaten the Warriors 2 times in the last 2 weeks. I think this victory is really telling for a few reasons. If you go back to a week or two ago when Dylan Brooks made those comments about Draymond, and then Draymond Green responded on his podcast, trashing Dylan Brooks, making all those cracks about him and going at him, you would think that, well, Draymond's trying to get the mental edge on the Grizzlies. He's trying to give his team the edge, and maybe he'll put Dylan Brooks in a comfortable position where he breaks down and he falls apart, which leads to the Grizzlies falling apart. Because I remember one thing he said about Dylan Brooks was like, "Hey, your teammates don't like you. No one likes you on your own team." And that point that Draymond made, I think, galvanized the Grizzlies as a team to unite behind Dylan Brooks. It kind of made him like a martyr figure for them, where the Grizzlies felt like, hey, that's our guy. We're down with him. We ride with him. You can't go at him like this, and we're going to show you. So I think Draymond could have stupidly galvanized the Grizzlies and just motivated them. They were like that. It's like the old saying. They're like that wounded animal that you don't want to mess around with that wounded animal. You want to let that wounded animal just die. That's all you have to do. They were in disarray. They had the situation with Ja. Just they had a lot of mess going on. Still, Ja is a question mark, but he'll be back. But you get what I'm saying. Like Draymond should have just left it alone. I strongly believe that. Just let them choke on their rope, as they say. Just that's what he should have done. But looking back, I think that's the moment in time where the Grizzlies finally overcame the Warriors mentally. I know it sounds presumptuous to say this, but I'm going to say it. The Grizzlies no longer fear the Warriors after what Draymond said. I believe this to be true. Draymond has a huge psychological effect on teams. I've seen this throughout the years that he intimidates teams. They melt down against him. That's his biggest edge. He's dirty. He knows how to get underneath guys' skin. He knows how to bully other teams. I've never viewed him as a tough guy or enforcer. I think he benefits from this era. During the 90s, I do think he would have been punched out. And during the early to mid 2000s, the same holds true. Just he's playing in an era where there's no enforcers to challenge him. So his bullying goes unabated. He's never challenged. Dylan Brooks was the first guy I've ever seen to actually challenge Draymond. First guy to actually step up to him and say, like, hey, I'm not going to take your crap. I don't fear you. You're a nobody. I'm going to respond back to you. You're garbage. You're trash. And I'm going to back it up. So far, Dylan Brooks has done that twice against him. I just think Draymond is always the X factor for the Warriors. That's why they kept him after he punched Jordan Poole, because they like his dirtiness. They like his nastiness. They feel it gives them a psychological edge on teams. I think to some degree it affected the Celtics last year with his dirty play, that they got frustrated in some of these close games. So that's what he's useful for. But I don't think the Grizzlies just fear him at all now. They've gone at him 2 times in a row. The first time you can say it's a fluke and they got lucky, but the second time they came out and just cleaned his clock again tonight. And I think the other telling part about this game was the Warriors were down, I believe, by 20 some points at one point in time. They came back in the fourth, I think, to cut it to 2 or 4 points. And you usually believe in these scenarios that the other team's going to melt down, because we've seen this over the years when the Warriors go on these runs. They cut the lead to 2 or a few points from a 20-point deficit. The opposing team melts down, but that wasn't the case with the Grizzlies. They called the timeout and they went on a ridiculous run to push it all the way back up to double digits again. So that to me is very telling. It showed to me that they really don't have a hold on the Grizzlies anymore mentally. It's just not there. I just think that's gone, and that's a very dangerous situation for the Warriors to be in now. They're not going to have that psychological edge when playing the Grizzlies in the playoffs. That could the Warriors still beat them? There's still a chance. Yeah, it could happen. I was gonna say Ja rules by accident, because I do feel he's pretty dumb. Like Ja rules was back in the day, but that's another story. But Ja Morant is a dumb guy. He's capable of playing stupidly and playing ISO ball and not team ball. I think if the Grizzlies play team ball like they did in these 2 games, they'll beat the Warriors in the playoffs. I definitely believe that. But I think the other thing to watch out for, these two teams meet each other. I do think a team brawl will happen in the playoffs between these two teams. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of animosity between these two teams. There's no love between these two teams. They both have I would say combustible characters in Draymond and Dylan Brooks. With either one of them can set it off if their team is losing with a dirty play or a cheap shot that can result in a melee. So anything's possible, but yeah, the fear factor, it's over for the Warriors. They don't have it on this team anymore. It's just not there, and that's all I have to say about it.